This is what's interesting about me. People think they know me, but I'm telling you, they have no idea because I get it. I come from a famous family. I'm third generation, have the last name Cassidy. I guess you would assume I have a trust fund or an inheritance, and I don't.
Today we've got third-generation actor Katie Cassidy on the show. Did you know she's the first celebrity to drop an NFT? This episode is about acting, crypto, and more. Welcome to the Inspired Money Podcast, where we explore positive money stories. I'm Andy, your host and financial advisor at Runnymede Capital Management. Let's shift our perspectives on money so we can make more and give more to make a bigger impact in the world. Thanks for watching the Inspired Money channel with interviews and money tips. Please hit like if you enjoy this interview. You may have seen today's guest on Seventh Heaven.
You don't mind if I take this home, do you? My housekeeper loves this place.
As Amanda in the movie Taken with Liam Neeson.
You're going into Paris?
Oui.
Taxi here are so damn expensive. Want to share?
Yeah.
Okay,
Sure.
perfect. Nice.
Thanks.
Screaming in the 2010 version of Nightmare on Elm Street.
Found you.
Perhaps she's best known on the Arrow TV series as Laurel Lance. Black Siren, Black Canary. Katie's biological father, American actor, musician, and 1970s heartthrob of Partridge Family fame, David Cassidy. Katie says people don't really know her. They think they know her, but they don't really know her. So strap in. You're going to learn about her acting career that launched before she was out of high school. It may also surprise you to learn that she's totally into computers, video gaming, and cryptocurrencies. Here's a very old book that I found from my childhood, proof of how much I loved Donkey Kong. That comes up in this interview. This is going to be so much fun. In this episode, you'll learn about going straight to work versus attending college, video games, and why they're a part of Katie's characters on set. Make sure you watch until the end to find out how Katie got into cryptocurrencies and became the first celebrity to drop an NFT. Now let's get inspired with Katie Cassidy. Katie, welcome to Inspired Money. I'm so excited to have you on the show.
Thank you, Andy. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Let's jump right in. What's your earliest childhood memory of money?
Oh, I remember, gosh, I think I was, I don't know, 4 or 5. I had a little, I think I actually had like a truck, like this little toy truck that was like a fire truck. I remember it was like red and you could open up the seat of this little truck. And I had this like little, I think this like tiny little wallet my grandmother had given me. It looked like I think it was a Chuck E. Cheese wallet. And I had a bunch of coins in there. And I kept it inside of this fire truck, in the seat of my fire truck that I could actually like get on and like move around on, you know? But I remember I would take this little pouch of coins, of, 25 cents, 5 cents, whichever. And I would basically go around like with my family and I would try to make them laugh or tell jokes and they would give me some change. And I remember just really liking that and collecting the change and being so proud. Like I could make them laugh and entertain them. And I was getting money for it. It was probably like, I don't know, $1.87 total. But hey, if I would have invested that $1.87 then when I was about 4 or 5, I mean, who knows what it would be worth now? If cryptocurrency was around then, hopefully my younger self would know I should invest in cryptocurrency at the age of 4 or 5 and, put that $1.87 into Bitcoin if it existed, because now I would probably be sitting pretty nice.
Safekeeping, entertaining, and then yes, your $1.87 in early Bitcoin would be worth a lot more today.
Right? I know.
You're a third generation actor, but you weren't raised by that side of the family. Was that creativity in you from a super early age?
100%. It's so interesting you bring this up just because I wasn't raised by my biological father. I was raised by my mother, and my mom married a doctor when I was around 3 years old. And my stepdad, Richard, um, raised me with my mother. And I didn't even meet my biological father until I was in second or third grade. But that gene, that creative gene, that artistic gene, it's so strong in the Cassidy side of the family. But also my grandmother, she was a painter. And I remember when I was really young, she taught me to paint and draw. And I've always loved being creative, not just, I think artists are artists. And no matter if you're an actor or a musician or a painter, or I love just creating things. And so, yes, that gene in my family, being third generation, I mean, I can't help, I was born this way, is what I say. Like, this is just, I didn't, not even knowing my dad, but being so much. I remember when I met him, my biological dad, and then, my uncles and my cousins and my brother, I have a half brother, who I also met later in life. And I was like, oh my gosh, these are my people. I'm not this, because I kind of thought I was weird, because I liked to sort of like, I remember I used to like to build forts, and I used to like have this sort of like, my imagination when I was younger, like, would go wild. And I like to spend time alone, but I like to spend time alone, drawing or painting or whatever. And I kind of felt different and a little strange, I guess. But when I met my dad and that side of my family, I was like, oh, actually, I'm not weird or whatever. I'm just creative. And then it's interesting though, because it really is like, I had a pretty cool balance, because also my stepdad is an emergency room doctor. And I remember when I was probably like 8 or 9 years old, I just learned a lot from him. And I remember I probably was bothering him. He was doing charts or something at home. And, I was 8, probably wanted to play. And I remember him being like, you know what? You see that computer over there? Why don't you go break that computer down and build it back up, and then come show me. And I was like, okay. So I would go do that and do it rather, I guess, quickly. I remember him being impressed, but I remember breaking down a computer, building it back up, and then being like, okay, I'm done. And he would be like, wow. So there's this tech side and more sort of business sort of side that he had taught me. And also like he taught me, I watched him like drive, ambition, work ethic. So I kind of got a good balance, I guess.
Sounds like best of both worlds, and very much nature versus nurture, because that creativity was there.
Yeah, it was just, I mean, it's insane just to think about the fact that I'm so much like my father, but I didn't meet him until later in life. But I'm very much his daughter, which I also, I love. It makes me feel like, I don't know, I can honor his, even though he's no longer here in the physical form, I can still honor him. And I still think he, is proud. And as I continue on this journey of creativity, like, I think, he's somewhere, wherever, and what sort of being he is at the moment, always proud and looking down, and it makes me happy that I can do that.
That's very cool. I want to talk a little bit about your early career, because you've been working nonstop since, I think, age 17. When did you know that you wanted to be an actor for career and like really make that dive in?
I think, well, I grew up in theater. I grew up, I think I played baby Jesus. I've in some play like at school when I was that, I was like not a newborn, but I was probably like 1 or 2 or something.
I like the female I like the female baby Jesuses, because
Right?
my daughter also played baby Jesus, but that was in church.
That's so cool.
She was like, I don't know. She was well, maybe she was 1.
Yeah.
She was like the youngest kid in the church, so they made her baby Jesus.
Aw, that's so. How old is she now? Do you mind me asking?
She's 13 now.
Aw, that's so sweet. I'm sure very financially savvy. Um, well, yeah. So,
She doesn't own any Bitcoin yet.
well, tell her to save up that 187, Andy. $1.87. Invest now and then see where it's at in 30 years. So yeah, I basically I grew up doing theater in school, all throughout my life. And, I in musical plays and just, plays in general. I started modeling a little. Oh my gosh, I think I did Mervyn's and Kmart, like print ads when I was maybe 14. And I remember thinking like, oof, this is not for me. I mean, it's cool, but it's not stimulating my brain, modeling.
It's not challenging you, right? Because
I was bored.
looking good, but there's no character.
Yeah, I was like, this is not a thing I'm going to do for a while or ever. So I did this Abercrombie thing, and then I transitioned into acting professionally. I did my first commercial, I think I was 15, for Optimum Online, .org, maybe? I don't remember, it's so long ago, which got me into SAG. And then I remember having the option of like, okay, I was in 10th grade, college. Everybody normally goes to college, but I was like, if I want to be an actor, and I started working on Seventh Heaven, was one of my first shows as a guest star. And I was like, and I was working. So I was like, why would I go to college to learn? And I'd been in acting class and acting school my whole life, but why would I go to do more if I'm already working professionally? I think, obviously going to college and being educated is extremely important, but also it depends on what you want to do. And I knew what I was supposed to do at a young age. It wasn't like I keep saying, being third generation, it's like I was just born this way. So I did know that this is the space that I am supposed to be in for a career, but I also am still learning. I'm kind of realizing, not only as an actor, but I've directed, and I've gone through the Warner Brothers Directors Program, and I directed my first episode of Arrow, our last season. And then I actually, over 2020, I got the rights to this book, and I wrote my first pilot. So, and I've also always been a writer. So I think it's just storytelling in general, just like pumps through my veins. And
that's something you want to do more of? The writing and directing?
Writing, directing, acting. I mean, I love acting also. But definitely I feel like and producing, like it's sort of the only way to kind of learn the most about your craft, if that is as an actor or a director or writer. You can see it from every aspect, every angle. You can see it as the writer, you can see it as the actor, you can see it as the director, you can see it as the producer. So you get a really good understanding of like where everyone's coming from, and also the work and time that's put into creating, and having an appreciation. I mean, I have such appreciation for writers. I mean, and I now can say it's a lot. And having gone through that process, I'm like, wow, these people put their blood, sweat, and tears into these scripts, and they're storytellers, and it's also therapeutic in a way. But yeah, so I like to sort of do all of the things.
Does developing that 3D view, that deeper view, does that change how you are as an actor?
I think it's funny. I think it makes me understand physically and emotionally, and how it comes, like where it comes from, how it comes off. Like you're creating nothing, and then all of a sudden it's on the screen, and if I'm the actor, yeah, it's very informative. It's very helpful. It helps me on many levels. As a director, now I care about, well, what's our frame? Like if you guys are super tight on what lens we have, like if you're on 100, like, or a screamer, you're not, as an actor, don't want to be big, because you're already camera's so close. So you kind of almost want to be still. But when you're further away, you can show more and give more when you widen it out on a screen. So it's like little tips and tricks like that, yeah, absolutely.
You're just envisioning everything, whether, I guess, even if you're the actor on screen, you're kind of thinking about all these different aspects and things. Let's go back to that decision to go to college or to go to work. Was that something that your parents, your stepdad and your mom were supportive of?
Well, put it this way. So this is what's interesting about me, because people think they know me, but I'm telling you, they have no idea, because I get it. I come from a famous family. I'm third generation, have the last name Cassidy. I guess you would assume I have a trust fund or an inheritance, and I don't. I'm not saying that, whether it's just my story. And I moved out. My parents said to me, you know what, if you're not going to go to college, that's fine if you want to pursue acting, but we're not going to take care of you financially. So you're on your own. And at 17, almost 18, I was like, okay, watch this. So I ended up saving, like, I don't know, it's like $15,000 from, these little modeling things I had done, and acting on, Seventh Heaven and a commercial. And so I was like, okay, I got myself a little apartment, and I moved out, and I figured it out on my own. And everything I have to this day, I've built and earned on my own. And so it's built like a lot of appreciation, a lot of hard work. It still continues, because that's life. And we all went through 2020. I didn't work for over a year. I too, at times, have had financial issues, and I've had to learn. But I think overall, like, you pick yourself back up and you grow and you learn as a person, and it builds character, and it also makes you have appreciation for everything. Like, for me, I'm really proud of myself, and it builds esteem because I created the life that I have.
That was at 17. Your parents would have paid for your college, I'm guessing? Like, was there a very clear what they would have preferred you do versus what you did do?
They were supportive either way. They would have probably made me pay them back at some point. I don't know, because I didn't take that route. But they I think knew and saw my drive and just like my creativity, and they were like, okay, but if you're going to do that, you're on your own. And if you want to move out, you're on your own. So bye. And I was like, okay. But I had it's interesting. I've always my whole life gravitated to like really strong, successful and independent women who were older than me. So I had like really good, influential women in my life. My manager being one of my closest friends. She has 2 kids of her own who graduated and married. She's still one of my close friends, but I really looked up to her my whole life because she's been successful and on her own and done it by herself. And I think that's just so empowering. And so having these like strong women who at 17 were encouraging me and telling me, and even my acting coach giving me tips and tricks of like, here's what you should do. And I would be like, okay, I'm like a sponge, right? So I'm literally soaking up everything that you say, taking it, and then putting it out there for myself in the world. And that's what is happening. It's still happening.
Was that scary at all? Most 17-year-olds don't have to work to put food on the table, and you did have to do that.
Yeah. And let me tell you, there was a time where I had to call my mom and be like, hey, because I was eating top ramen. I mean, I was cooking every meal myself. I was like living tight. But then I think there was a writer's strike that happened, and I was on Supernatural at the time, and the show ended, and I had to call my mom, and she had to buy me groceries. I'm happy to say it was only it was like a month, but it was a really, really, really scary month. And ugh, I hated having to call her and be like, I can't even afford groceries right now. Can you please help me? And she was great. And of course she did. She was like, you know, you're learning still, and we'll help you with this thing. But like, if it went on for a long time, they would have been, I would have had to move back home and blah, blah, blah. But I think I had my head on straight at a pretty young age, knowing, okay, I can't. It sucked because I had friends and all my friends were like, ooh, partying all the time. 18, like, I mean, I was born and raised in Los Angeles, and I would say, sorry, I can't go out this weekend. And they would be like, why? I'm like, I have an audition on Monday, and I have to work. I have to afford my rent. I have to put food on the table. Like, I can't just go out. I have to like focus. So I was,
That was real life.
yeah, yeah, at a young age. Yeah.
I heard you say that you went bankrupt at 19. Was that the time when you had to call home for help with food?
Oh yeah. Cause I shouldn't say bankrupt. Like I was on the edge, on the cusp. If they wouldn't have helped me this 1 month, I would have had like serious issues. But luckily they did. And luckily within Supernatural and the writer's strike, I actually had like, I think it was, I don't know, 2 episodes that came in. And so I was okay. But I also made me realize like, you have to, I mean, it's life. You have to take it seriously at times, but also you can't take it too seriously. It's like a fine balance.
With the last name Cassidy, did that help you going to auditions, or does that put more pressure and make it harder for you?
That's a great question. Because you would think it would make it easier, but no, it's like this. I would go into casting, and it was like, oh, this is David Cassidy's daughter. Okay, let's see what she's gonna do. It's almost like they pay more attention, and they are putting you under a microscope. And I remember feeling like, I think they thought it was like I wasn't gonna be good, or I don't know. I think they thought like, okay, let's see what she can do. And then I would, go in the room and audition, and I think I think some people were pleasantly surprised and like, wow, oh, okay, she actually is an actor. And then I started working, and.
Yeah, Hollywood seems tricky in that you get a role and it's very common for actors to be typecast. You've done like a series of horror films. I saw in the Wikipedia, they said, oh, you were known as a scream queen at one point. But it looks like you've worked on different things. It looks like you've done comedy, you've done Arrow, you've done Taken. And what kind of roles are your favorite? What do you like doing?
I love, honestly, it has to be some element of the project, whether it be the character, the director, the producers, for me to want to do it. And I love all genres. But I think action and drama have been what I've been drawn to most, because I'm challenged, especially complex character. I did this movie called Scribbler, where I played somebody who had dissociative identity disorder. And as an actor, it was a really interesting process, because I actually sat down with my therapist at the time and one of her other clients who actually had dissociative identity disorder. And she let me just witness her transition in and out of different personalities.
What was that like?
It was really, it was really fascinating, educational, like my heart goes out to her. But she was the one that said, yeah, this is great. I'm happy to do a session with you, with our therapist, and have her witness it. Because I needed to know, I wanted to do as much of an authentic job portraying that as possible. It was really wild. It was really, I was sort of floored watching this woman go in and out. She at some point actually transitioned and started speaking in this language, as Indian language, or excuse me, and she started speaking in the Native American language that I guess like then transitioned into like an Indian language. And actually, the therapist had never saw that personality in her as I was witnessing it, and it was pretty dark. But she then tried to she actually records her sessions, and she tried to translate it. I think with the University of Arizona, and they were like, "We can't translate this. Sorry, it's not to be translated." So we don't know what happened, but it was really eye opening, and it also gave me another sort of like, I was excited to be able to portray in the best way possible somebody who had dissociative identity disorder. So, anyways, long story short, I like to do. Yes, I've done a lot of comedy. I actually was trained more in comedy than drama. But action, I love working out. So fitness is a big part of my life. And I also tend to get drawn to very like strong female characters. I grew up playing a lot of video games, and
I hear you're a Mortal Kombat fan.
oh yes, Sub-Zero, Thumb Blaster, Fatality. I remember I'd have these like blisters on my thumbs, and yeah, it was crazy. My sister and I, growing up, we loved video games. Duke Nukem. It started from Lemmings, Duke Nukem, and then transitioned into Mortal Kombat, GoldenEye 007, of course, Donkey Kong, Mario Kart, all of the usual, but Mortal Kombat really stuck around. And Call of Duty, I still play video games to this day. I do. I love it. I love Call of Duty. First person shooter games. I don't know. I'm like, Katie? Kidding.
It's virtual. It's virtual.
It's virtual.
Okay.
It's virtual. Well, one day I think we all will be.
Yeah, we'll all be living in the Matrix. Definitely Donkey Kong was my game.
What?
I said Donkey Kong was my game back in the day.
Oh, yeah. I loved Donkey Kong. Did you ever play Silent Hill?
No, what is that?
Well, Silent Hill is a movie, but they made a movie based off the video game. And I hate to say this, like I've beat every video. This is a video game you can beat, and I beat every video game except for this freaking video game, Silent Hill. I remember staying up for like 2 days straight. My mom was so mad because I think I was like 12. And I'm up in the middle of the night, like trying to break this code and this mystery. And I'm like looking online. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's got to be some, like, what, how, like I was totally stuck. And I spent 2 days, and I remember I was so mad at myself. I had to put it down because I was like, I'm wasting my life trying to crack this. And apparently I'm just not supposed to crack it. So maybe one day, I don't know, 20 years later, maybe I'll take a crack at it again and beat the game. I don't know if you know about Radiation Island. I downloaded it onto my laptop, my MacBook. It's really cool. Radiation Island, I play in between setups on set just as like a brain break. And I can just sort of like dive in and block out the world. And you're basically like build a world. You're in this world and you've got animals coming after you, bears, lions. You have to build your own weapons. You have to collect the things to build the weapons, you have to collect food. You have to fight for yourself in survival. And there's also these aliens that, anyways, it's really complex, but yeah, I did finally beat it. I was so proud of myself.
I'm not an actor. Most of our viewers and listeners are not actors. So I can't picture having to put yourself into a character when there are all these distractions. Like you've got the camera, you've got all the people there. I think that most of us we don't know how, like, when action is called, that you have to, right? You're on. That's the moment. You have to filter all the distractions out. How important is it to have those moments when you can play a video game and kind of be in your own head out of all of that so that you can prepare for what you need to do?
Right. And That's a really good question too. I think for me, it become like I'm not distracted by the camera or other people. Like it's easy for me to block out now. I think I did that. I think it's just practice and habit. It becomes like, so what is difficult for me as an actor is when I'm on set, I don't like to talk to people really because not to say that I'm not, so I just try to stay in the character as much as I can. And I think being able to channel into like a game for me, it allows me to still like helps me block off what's going on around me while they change setups and their chaos is happening. And then when they are like, okay, your set's ready, I close my computer, I go into the scene and I've been locked into something else, but it is easy to transition my lock into this character without being pulled out. So it's the outside world when people want to converse and they see me, hey, Katie, how are you? How's your weekend? And, we start a conversation. It actually that's more distracting and difficult for me than the camera and the setups and the weird noises and all of the people. It's like I don't know if that makes sense, but I find that more difficult.
That is a cool thought. So you are playing a video game in character.
Yeah. Essentially.
Not as yourself.
I mean, in this particular scenario, yeah. I was playing Radiation Island during Arrow. I was playing Call of Duty on my laptop during Cover Versions, a movie I did. I mean, I definitely think there's different games I play that collide or coincide with my character based off that project.
That is very cool. Katie, the Arrow series ended, I think that's November 2019. Your 2-year marriage ended. The world shut down because of a global pandemic. So what else could happen? That sounds like a lot to go through in a very short period of time.
Yes.
How are you? How are you doing?
You know what? I appreciate you. Thank you for even acknowledging that. Because most people don't, and that's okay too. Like I'm sure everybody has their own, obviously everybody has their own story, but it was a lot. I essentially was shooting in Vancouver, Canada for 8 years on Arrow, living there. At some point I did get married, and I also directed my first episode, which I had mentioned. And then the series was over November 2019. I filed for divorce January 2020. And then I ended up shadowing these directors in New York and Vancouver. And then February 24th, I put myself on lockdown February 24th, 2020. So it was really eye-opening because and this is where it all will come together, because I was forced to I had to learn how to love myself. And that's a like really interesting thing, and the self-discovery, and also something I encourage everybody to do. I don't think you can love other people until you love yourself, but I hadn't really learned who I was. So it was a really important time in my life because I had no other choice. We were on lockdown. And I just took it day by day. I learned how to be with myself in peace and learn about myself, and did a lot of a lot of meditations, I have a spiritual healer. I worked with her a lot. I have a therapist. I worked with her a lot. I'm very self-aware. So I was aware of like, my career is in a major transition. My personal romantic life is in a major transition. And also the world is in a major transition, which obviously affects our personal life. And that's why we were forced at home. So sort of like every aspect of my life was like, the carpet was kind of like ripped out beneath me in a way.
Yeah, it sounds kind of hellish. It sounds kind of bad.
Yeah, it could have been, but I have to say, I really did learn a lot about myself and learn how to love myself. And that's where, we can get into this, but what my whole first NFT drop was about recently was self-love and what I went through during this year of isolation. And it could have been hell, but it actually wasn't. I don't think I've ever been happier because I got to write, I got to be creative. That creative inner child in me totally came out. I was painting, I was writing, I was in my own space, and I was just I'm so happy. But also what's ironic is I had ended up meeting somebody who lived in my building, and we started dating. He was also going through a divorce, but also we dated for a year. On Valentine's Day 2021, not too long ago, I had gotten him a this thing called Love is Art. And this is where the whole NFT thing, the whole idea, I've always been, again, like into tech and gaming and cryptocurrency. And so NFTs, when I learned about them, hold on, pause, I'm going to back up. So the guy I was dating on Valentine's Day, I gave him this thing called Love is Art. And essentially you have this canvas, you get this canvas sent to you with colored paint, and you and your partner have sex on this canvas. And then you can get it stretched out, and it looks really cool because you guys do it in paint, and then you put it on your wall. He broke up with me like 2 days later, so we never used it. And I remember being like, okay, so now I've had to like re-fall in love with myself again. But I think that's just life. It's ebbs and flows. Like we have to, like I have had financial issues and had to go home to my mom. I know I was 19, but it doesn't matter. Age is a number, if you ask me. And I had to pick myself back up because I ran out of money. In regards to this relationship, like I had learned to love myself. Then I met this guy, started dating him. We dated for about a year, and then it happened sort of all over again. And I was like, you know what? It was Women's History Month, going to be Women's History Month. And I've been very supportive, well, in people in general, but especially women, and empowering them. And I was like, I'm just gonna do this myself, actually. And I'm gonna make love to myself, essentially. I mean, not literally, but on this piece of art. And I'm gonna get these photographers to photograph it. And I'm gonna be one of the first celebrities to drop an NFT in this way as a portrait series called Me, She, We, which you can get on OpenSea. And I'm going to also donate a percentage of the proceeds to charity and empower women to really, and people just like to learn to fall in love with themselves and embrace themselves. And I accomplished everything that I had wanted to and some, and I'm really proud of it. And I just love I love the tech digital space. It's just, again, it goes back to like my childhood. Like my dad I think I'd mentioned, used to have me break down computers and build them back up. So like, I love gadgets. I love technology. I love gaming. I love cryptocurrency. It was like, oh, right. Of course I love NFTs. And I think it's a really cool way for artists supporting artists. And also there's an element to it. I'm going to end up eventually having a Cassidy coin where I can give my fans coins and they can actually purchase my NFTs using my specific coin. And if they hold on to it for a certain amount of time, they will actually, start getting getting more and more and more. What that interest looks like, I'm not sure off the top of my head.
You have to explain all of this to us.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I know I went really fast.
How did you initially get into cryptocurrencies? My
ex-husband. I give him credit. I remember, I know for whatever reason, like when I am learning still, as we all are, like to trust my intuition. I know stuff before it happens. It's just a matter of my trusting that opening, jaw-dropping initial reaction and being like, yes, Katie, go with that. That's right. Because I have been right in the past. But he told me about Bitcoin in 2017. And I was like, oh, my eyes went wide. And I was like, oh my gosh, the second Elon Musk finds out about this, it is game over. And guess what happened, Andy? Elon Musk found out about it. I'm sure not in 2021. I'm sure he knew about it before, but that's when like it took off. And I remember saying that to my ex-husband. He was a genius, and that's when I bought in. I should have. Oh, it would have been so great if I bought like a bunch of Bitcoin right then. I was like, no, Katie, don't get crazy. Let's just buy. It was like at 3,000 a coin, and then I was like, okay, so I'll buy one coin and let's just see how it does. Well, then it was 10,000, and shortly after 20,000. And then it was December 2017. And I was like, oh, I'm going to sell half my assets because it's hit almost 20,000. So I sold half my assets then. And then it dropped back down to like $3,000. What, last year or 2 years ago? I don't know. More recently. And now here we are sitting at 62. So I would have just trusted myself.
I think it hit 63,000 today.
It did?
I think so.
Within more recently, right?
Oh, I don't know.
Okay. I always look. I'm not always look, but like I love learning about this stuff, and it's always everybody's still learning, and it's evolving, and it's the way of the future. Cryptocurrency.
Yeah, I see 63,000.
Wow.
So explain the NFT to us, because
non-fungible token. So essentially, it's kind of like having ownership to a certain unique digital, certificate to digital art in any form, though, not just. Sorry, go ahead.
Are you only a creator or are you a collector too?
I've more recently started collecting more. However, from my NFT drop, and I'm in the middle of shooting a movie right now, so it's kind of complicated in terms of I wish I could sit in front of the computer all day. I don't have the ability to do that. And when I'm shooting, I try and stay in character. So sometimes, yes, I can actually embrace the cryptocurrency and NFT space as a character. And sometimes, actually, the character I'm playing now, I definitely can. But sorry, I lost my train of thought. Where was I going? Remind me.
Collecting versus creating.
You can do both. I really wanted to be the first celebrity to do my drop in the way that I did. So I had this idea after the boyfriend broke up with me. I was like, all right, screw you. I'm going to do this myself. Drop it as an NFT.
Yeah. Kudos to you for having a pandemic romance. He kind of the fool for not cashing in on the gift.
Thank you. I don't disagree with you. I'm sure he's kicking himself to this day. You're welcome. I won't mention your name, sir. Sorry. Yes, you could do both. And for me, I wanted to be the first person and do it for a good cause because I gave a percentage of it to the proceeds. And you could still, even now, my NFT, I put this team together and did the shoot from when the idea first came into my head into when I actually dropped my first NFT was 5 days. So I actually had to have the shoot, put this team of 6 people together. I have a crypto expert, an NFT art. He also used to do physical art before, and now he does both, digital and physical. Brought him on, another creative director along with myself, a writer, and these 2 incredible photographers, the Riker Brothers. And we shot this in an hour at my condo. And I'd never really done any of this. I'd never done a photo shoot nude like that, but I am in paint.
How'd that feel?
It was really empowering. It was really like, again, I encouraging women to sort of just embrace themselves and love themselves. It was very much in line of like what I went through during coronavirus and being in isolation and being forced to learn myself, and then it was Women's History Month, and, encouraging women to love themselves and embrace themselves. And then dropping it as an NFT, I was like, I wanted to be one of the first celebrities to do it in that way. Also be able to give back and also educate people on like, what is cryptocurrency? What is MetaMask? What is OpenSea in the marketplace? Why NFTs are the future, but it's just like Bitcoin. It's just like cryptocurrency. Like in 5 years or 3, NFTs are going to be like sort of what cryptocurrency is today, where people are starting to like wrap their head around blockchain, wrap their head around Bitcoin and all the other currencies that there are, Ether, which is what you would purchase an NFT with. But on OpenSea and dropping this series, it's called Me, She, We. So if you went to OpenSea and you put that in, you can see the collection I dropped. The auction is over, but there is another piece that still has, I think there's like 30, I think there's like 30 units that someone can, individuals can purchase with Ether.
It's super interesting. As a collector, why do I want to buy the NFT when I could? Because the art that's in the NFT, can't that still be shared or owned by somebody?
So here's what it is. It's again like this certificate of authenticity and ownership to each unique piece. You can't, sure, you can take a screenshot, I guess, but you can't blow that up. You can't, it'll pixelate it. So, and also you don't own it. So it's like, and eventually we're going to have these frame. I mean, I know that we already do in some capacity. Technology is just keeps blowing my mind, but you know, you're going to be able to put these digital frames on your walls. And if you own the Mona Lisa, you don't go to a museum and view it. It's, you can own, you know, I think there was, I don't even know if that was a thing. I'm just talking, I'm spitting right now. So don't fact check me on this. But you'll be able to display that. And then also you can trade, you can have your own NFT collection. And yeah, it's basically essentially you owning the piece of art, whatever that may be, a song. I actually was on Clubhouse recently and I was there when Snoop did his NFT drop, and he's hit the NFT drop. I mean, he's rapping his NFT, and it was the sickest beat. And you have to you can own that song. I think that's pretty cool. And then you can also turn it around and resell it, which somebody did with the auction piece of mine. But also what I thought was cool, I gave away the actual canvas that I was on along with whoever won the NFT. So I thought that was cool because it's like, there's the physical form and then also there's the digital. And he is the only person who gets to view it in full HD high resolution.
I see. I love that you donated proceeds to the Rape Foundation, Women's Global Empowerment Movement, and LifeWay Network. I just have two questions for you. One is, how do you view money? Since you have money that you get paid as an actor, you've got cryptocurrency and giving, because you're also, I think, an ambassador for Help Malawi.
Yeah.
So how do you see money?
Are you talking about the physical aspect, like cash? It's disgusting. Sorry, I don't want to touch cash after 2020. Do you? Germs? We're transactioning like this? And yes. So I don't want to touch dollar bills. So digital currency to me, I mean, it already was appealing because I also was a germaphobe before coronavirus. So imagine what my life was like after being on lockdown. And then all of a sudden I knew I probably like bought half the supplies of cleaning supplies, like, cause everybody ran out. And I was like, oh, I stocked my storage of like all of the alcohol rubbing, all of the Lysol wipes, all of the Clorox wipes. I remember telling my housekeeper, I was like, Lucy, you have got to buy I'm not kidding. I was like, you need to wear a mask, please, everywhere. I will, but we need to buy all of the cleaning things because this shit is about to get crazy. And sure enough, I ran out and I was like, oh my gosh, we need to go find vodka. Now I'm cleaning my floors with vodka because I was like, I can't. Okay. I was very extreme, of course. But that's my feeling on cash. I don't know where this dollar has been. I don't know what pocket, what there was on their hands. I don't know where these coins have been. Like, it's just, I don't want to touch that. That's my feeling on actual physical cash. So I don't have cash. I have, sure, credit card and cryptocurrency, but also, you know, there's things now. I mean, with Coinbase and tomorrow with their IPO, I mean, it's also causing.
It's going to be huge.
Yeah. It going public is crazy. I feel like it was like, 17 years ago when Google did the same thing. I think where they went public, and it's going to, I feel like, have the same sort of effect, if not more than that. But yeah, I'm bullish on cryptocurrency, bullish on Bitcoin, bullish on Ether, bullish on NFTs. And also, like, when are we gonna be able to digitize, excuse me, ourselves? Because I think it's the way of the future.
So germs, cryptocurrency for the win.
Yeah.
Katie, I like to ask all the Inspired Money guests, how do you define success?
I think it's internal, to each their own. Meaning you have goals. You can't think of it like externally. I think you have to look at it internally, like, what are your goals? And if you reach them, that's a success. You would feel, being successful in the goals that you set and being able to achieve them, that's success. Whether that looks like success to somebody else, who cares? Because they're not you. And sorry, I just don't care if they think it's success or not. I feel it's successful, which is a success.
Which relates to your love thyself message.
Yes, exactly. Which is interesting because one of my first tattoos, I got one on my ankle when I was 19. Know thyself, be thyself, love thyself. And then I got wings on my back. And then in Latin, I wrote, it says, she flies with her own wings. So I don't know. This is sort of how I've always, I guess, been.
Independent, strong woman. Well, thank you for sharing your story and teaching us about NFTs. And if any of us are so inspired to buy a canvas and roll around in it.
And or purchase my NFT, you still can on OpenSea. Me, she, we. Awesome.
Anywhere else you want to tell the Inspired Money listener, viewer to follow you or find you?
I explain it. I mean, Twitter, Instagram, Katie Cassidy. Twitter is Ms. MZ Katie Cassidy. I have Facebook, but also you can go to my OpenSea, and if you search me period, we period, no, me period, she period, we period, my OpenSea will come up, and you can purchase your own NFT and then start a collection, also add to it yourself. I think, again, it's the way of the future, and I think we're just going to be continuously learning more and more and hearing more about it.
Awesome. Thanks, Katie.
Oh, thank you so much. It was really nice talking to you. Have a good day.
So what was your favorite Inspired Money moment? I like what Katie said about trusting her gut. She tends to know stuff before they happen, but must trust her gut to take action. It reminded me of peak performance coach Don Green from Inspired Money episode 128. He coaches athletes, musicians, and even Wall Street traders to not only rely on their brain. I also like how Katie is always trying to get better at her craft, acting, taking advantage of a director's program, and writing. And then you heard how she's learning about blockchain, crypto, and not just as an observer. She jumped in. She's looking and investing toward the future. We all might be digitized someday. If you had a different favorite Inspired Money moment, please let me know by posting a comment below. For watching until the end, I want to send you an Inspired Money sticker. Go to inspiredmoney.fm/Andy, send me your name and address, and I'll put one of these in the mail. Thank you so much for joining me on this mission. Have an inspired week and do something that scares you, because that's where the magic happens.